Hello, it's me again, Jenny, with my little fishy videos. I'm going to show you my pregnant Platy today. She's up here and she's getting really close to giving birth. I can tell by how her tail is drooping and how squared off her bottom of her belly is getting. It's really hard to see by the way she's hiding from me. But she's actually hiding from the other fish as well. The moms will wait a little while, like they go into this resting period from eating after giving birth, which is, I think, where the fairy tale that platies don't eat their fry come in, is because you could actually put them in a fry basket and more survive than if you accidentally leave her in there a little bit longer, because she will go into a resting period where she doesn't eat. But if you leave the fry in here with them, they will get eaten. And so I do have to move them as many as I can catch, which is normally about 2 to 4. As long as I keep their temperature about 76 degrees, feed them twice a day for about 5 minutes each. I normally feed them about 8 o'clock in the morning and about 7 o'clock at night. It gives them almost a 12-hour period to where their feeding schedule is pretty on tack. I check their water parameters regularly. I rinse their filters. I usually rinse their filters bi-weekly. We do a water change weekly. Like I said, this is my longest going tank. I just took them from a 20-gallon to the 40-gallon, and then I added some fry. I'm not even sure how many at the moment. I think 4. I think this one, and these 2 were added, well, and him, so 5. Yeah. Yep, because that would make 10. That would be 5, because I started with my original 4 platies and my little Odo here, and now I have 10 complete in this tank, which with their sizes, I may be able to add one more sunburst, but until any die off, I probably won't. I know that sounds cruel, but the males end up mating themselves to death, and the females, a lot of times the live bears will die during birth, which is unfortunate. But I guess as long as you can save some of the fry and keep them healthy and replenish, then the tank mates aren't going to really notice, which is why I try to keep the fry thing going. That's why I keep my big tank of fry. I'm going to eventually let them mature up and use a smaller tank for my fry. I want to get a 10-gallon glow tank eventually, but that's a whole nother story, and that one will be done. Set up everything on the video for you guys. Just kind of a little memorabilia for me. These guys are pretty simple. They're temperamental. That's why it's just them guys in there. They will eat my crustaceans, my snails, and stuff like that. Their favorite treats are the baby brine shrimp and the bloodworms, but I really wouldn't give them to them more than once a week, because it's not really a whole lot of nutritional value. They're more omnivorous. They're omnivorous, but they're more herbivore than carnivore, so you want to keep a lot of the natural tropical fish food. And when you do the brine shrimp or the bloodworm, skip their feeding for that morning or that evening that you give it to them, usually, is what I do. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying that's rule of thumb. I haven't actually fully researched if that's how you should do it. I just have kept this one going for about 4 or 5 months, and these are some pretty hardy fish. If you're trying to get a beginner setup, I would definitely suggest getting a platy. They've, well, dory and flounder, if they'd ever come out, have survived ick, several births. They've survived overcrowding. They've survived high nitrites, ammonia, high nitrates. They've survived all of my trial and errors. There's some pretty hardy fish, I guess you could say. And they get pretty big. They get about 4.5 inches, the red wagtails do, which are the ones that I'm speaking of. Their mom. And his mom. But as they get bigger, they get darker red, like a reddish orange. Can we see her in there? No. No, it's on a flashlight and I really don't want to disturb her too much. I've had some pretty pregnant fish for quite some time and I really don't want to disturb them because if they are having fry, I've got it all set up to where if they have the fry up here, the fry will naturally drop first and then swim, and so they can hide in all of my back planting there, and then they can survive a little longer term in here if I don't get to them immediately, and so they can hide in that stuff, and then over here on the sides if they're out scavenging, they can come up into this or up into this. So this setup here, I really don't have a lot in the middle because it's not really how I like to set up my tanks. I like my main vocal points to be off to the sides. So if you look at this one, it kind of mirrors other than those two main decorations there, which are not centered. The only thing centered is my little nursery there, and that is just so that I can find the fry, and it's easier to get my net in between that and that to pull them out. A lot of times what I'll use is like a turkey baster because it just causes no damage to the fish fry. It would if they were bigger because it's sucking them through this little bitty hole, but since the fish fry are so small, it can suck them right up in there, and then I can just take them and their water and put them in a bowl and then collect as many as I can for that one setting. After a while they'll start hiding, burrowing deep into the gravel and into the grass, so it becomes a little harder after you've caught a few. Cotton, I don't even think that's a word. I mean, cotton is, but not the way I said it. Never mind. Anyways, this is not a grammar lesson. So I'm waiting to see her fry because I've yet to have her give birth. All of my other both of my other two adult females have. No, I take that back. I have some of her fry in my fry tank, and we'll get to those later. So she's had one batch of fry so far, but you can tell right here how she's squaring off and how her tail seems more compressed, and when she's just, it kind of sags down a little bit. She'll also look like she's gasping for air as she gets closer to going into labor. So that's that. And again, if I've misspoken on any information, please feel free to correct me. If you think I'm talking out my ass, let me know. If you have anything constructive to say, I would really appreciate the knowledge that you have to share with me. I am still learning, and I appreciate any kind of help that I can get. As I've said before, my learning curve hasn't gotten too expensive yet, and I'm trying to keep it that way. So leave your comments, questions, anything specific you'd like to know about. If I know, I will post it as quickly as I can. If I don't know the topic, I may have to do a little research before I do that video. But through the 4.5, 5 months I've been doing this, I've learned quite a bit about the fish that I have. I don't have a wide variety. I have, I want to say 5 or 6 different species, maybe a little bit more, give or take. So I've also been learning about other species that I'm wanting to get. So, but that's not for today, is it? So we'll do one quick look here. Let's see if we can gender our fish. This is swimming a little too fast for my camera to keep up. See how the back still looks like a skirt? They'll look like that when they're female. And so I don't know if this one's going to stay a female or become a male yet. It hasn't hit maturity as far as I can tell. When the other ones, its age start to, I'll be able to know a little bit better. Unfortunately with the Odo here, it's hard to tell the gender. But it really doesn't matter because I only keep one in the tank. He's just a little algae eater. He's not going to take up too much space. He's not going to get much bigger than that. So he's a really good tank mate for my platies. Now you can see how round she is. Now if I was able to get under her, which I can't because I can't get in the water with my camera here, but you would see that her hole that is normally a little circle for pooping starts to square off a little bit more too and open up. It kind of dilates so that the fry can come out. Now if she had a lighter body style and her tail wasn't so dark, right back here where it starts getting red, you would be able to see the darkness of the baby fish. But her body language tells me that she's about to give birth anyway, so I don't need that telltale sign. Now the other fish will start following her as she goes into full onset labor. They kind of will start thinking she's a floating vending machine full of free snacks. And so I kind of watch out for the other fish following her and things like that. And then I can start scooping out babies as soon as I see them. But I have 2 in here that are pregnant right now, but she's closest to that stage for me to be keeping an eye on. I really don't think I have anything else to say about the platies. They're great, durable beginner fish. Any questions, comments? You know where to put them. And I appreciate any feedback. Negative, positive, I appreciate it. It helps me to grow and learn, and I mean that's, if I can learn something new every day, that's great. So that's what I strive for, and hopefully y'all do too. Like I said from the beginning, I'm just here to share what I have learned and hopefully learn some new things. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day.